Hello and welcome to the TLC review by, me on my view. This is my show, so, hello. Um, all in all, I found it to be the weakest pay-per-view that I've pretty much seen in WWE history. And that's even going back to like 1995 and like 96, when it was really weak. Which is a bit disappointing because they pretty much had like all of their like major people there aside from Randy Orton. The Roman War Machine came back as well, but it was kind of like the whole pay-per-view was so bad that it was like, oh, Roman's back. Okay. So, and like Dean Ambrose did 3 high spots with the Macho Man elbow. Ooh yeah, dig it. And like he got a decent crowd pop, probably because they comped a lot of tickets for like him, Seth Rollins, and what's his face, Dolph Ziggler, because like all 3 of those guys are from Ohio, and so like it's like, hey, we're here in Ohio, okay, make with the competition tickets. And so, but it didn't work. It was a very, very weak pay-per-view. The women's match was good. AJ Lee and Nikki Bella had a really good match. The best match of the evening. The Ryback Kane match was interesting. And the Cena Seth Rollins match was a pile of crap. The tag team match was a pile of crap. And the ending match was like, exploding TV. And it's like, well, how can we make Dean Ambrose lose, but not lose his heat? And it's like, well, does he have any heat? I don't know. And it's like, the best that they can come up with was a exploding TV. Okay. And so, like, overall, it was a very disappointing pay-per-view. And I think basically the general consensus amongst the fans was that was one of the most disappointing pay-per-views that they have seen. And sort of, even if it is $9.99, having said that, I know that running a wrestling promotion isn't easy, which is why it's something that I'm never going to do. I mean, I love wrestling, but there's a lot of hassle and a lot of work and a huge amount of expenses that go into running and operating a wrestling promotion. I mean, touring wise, you're pretty much spending as much as you're making. And like with the pay-per-views, a third of all the WWE's and pay-per-views buys in a year and come from WrestleMania. And so you've got like 2 million odd buys spread out between 11 pay-per-views. I mean, the WWE is on course to make about what 450, 500 million. Yeah, it still made like a $20 million loss. I'd prefer a business where your overheads are a quarter of your total gross. So if you're paying $25 to kind of produce a product and market it per unit, you're then selling it for 100. And so that's the kind of areas where I'm genuinely hoping to go into with the WWE and like wrestling in general. For every say $100 that you make, you probably get about what $10, $20 from that. So I mean, I love wrestling. I love the idea of running a promotion from like the creative standpoint, because the pay-per-view last night, my grandmother, who's never seen wrestling at all, she could have put together a better pay-per-view than that. But sort of in terms of running a wrestling promotion, it would have to be a lot more profitable to sort of do so, and that's very difficult because there's only really been one kind of phase where it got really profitable, because kind of like otherwise it's like, well, if the WWE generates 500 million, then in a good year it might make what 30, 40 million in profit, maybe 50. And so it's like, well, like we've just slogged our guts out 24/7. We have made 500 million, yet there's like a Walmart chains or just like independent 7-Eleven chains who make more money a year in hard profit. So and like I think that like sometimes like the WWE buys its own advertising, whereby like they always refer to themselves as being, we're a media juggernaut, or we're just this like huge enterprise that the competition can't come near us. And they're confusing the fact that they have no competition with, them being a media juggernaut. They're by themselves, because everybody else in wrestling was put out of business, and the wrestling business itself, it lends itself to sort of like almost like a lineage of owners, whereby a wrestling promotion is something that, it's kind of like, it's like started by the grandfather, passed on to the son, who then passes it on to his son or daughter, and then passes it on to his son or daughter. You don't see many people who go to, Harvard Business School and coming out of there saying, I'm going to start a wrestling promotion. So they confuse the fact that, they're just simply the only company there with, like global domination. So it's like they're a big company, but they're a big company because they're the only company. You know? And so, I mean, there's like in TNA, and TNA is getting like virtually a quarter, maybe a third of the WWE's rating viewership. But their problem is that, nobody's buying their pay-per-views. Which is understandable, because, I mean, like, as bad as the tables and ladders and chair and pay-per-view was, it wasn't as bad as TNA. So, all in all, a disappointing pay-per-view. It could have been a lot better. Sure could have been a lot better, but, it's the end of the year. Everybody's thinking about, Christmas and New Year, and so, I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch you later.